Hey everyone, so this is just sort of a fun look at Ken Rockwell. So he is sort of this guy who I know a lot of photographers have real problems with him, and a lot of people just getting into photography, they actually go to his links and websites and stuff and read what he's saying. So what I figured I'd do today is I want to try and decide from I'm a professional photographer, and I thought I would jump over to his website. I don't read his stuff very much, especially nowadays. I have read it in the past, but I thought I would jump over to his website and a piece of equipment that I'm very, very familiar with, and being a professional photographer, I wanted to see, kind of objectively if he reviews it well. And I'm going to go through this with you guys. So I'm going to tell you what I think. And, at the end, I'm going to give you my, I haven't done a dry run in this or anything. So I'm going to give you my opinion on his review here. So it's kind of cool. I don't know if these are, he takes these photos himself, it looks like. So I'll tell you right off the bat, that's cool. At least he has his logo right there. So he doesn't use Nikon's images. So let's see what he says up top here. At first, he starts off with all his affiliate links, which, there's nothing wrong with that. People put their time into this stuff and they want you to click on their links. So he says right here, my biggest source of support is this free website. So when you use any of these links, I receive nothing for my. So he's sort of just giving you his pitch on, he's letting you know these are affiliated links, and he's giving you his pitch on why you should use these, which he's saying, he's saying I don't have any other income from any other sources. So whatever. That's strange to me. I don't think you should say that, but let's keep going here. So he shows you some sample images. And I think that's great. I think that's a great way to start off. That's like the first thing he shows you. He shows you the camera. You might get a good idea of the ergonomics of it here. I think he's doing great so far. And I'm trying to do this objectively. I'm just trying to clear all the crap that I've ever heard about Ken Rockwell out of my head. And he's showing you these pictures. And let's see if you can get in here, and you can. So you can get in here. And, we're seeing like the actual file. I think it's cool he did that. And I don't know if that's factory dust on there. A lot of times these cameras will ship with dust from the factory. For whatever reason, you got to blow them out. So that's cool that he kept that stuff in there. So, he's giving you the information there, and he's giving you all the settings, which I think that's great. People that are someone like me that's interested in purchasing this, I'd want to know that. I'd want to know how cool, how good that looks with the 35 millimeter. I'd want to know the aperture. I'd want to know the ISO. So great info there. And more samples. We'll kind of start going quicker here. And now he's giving you a sample at, different types of photography. So night photography, starlight photography with certain lenses, which is cool. Anybody might be interested in this. Camera might be interested in how different lenses perform on it. Even though, in my opinion, probably going to perform similarly on pretty much all Nikon crop bodies. But anyway, I'm not going to read through everything, but so he starts off by saying, it's an awesome camera, which it is. I'll agree with that. Better colors than that. He's saying it's better colors and LCD accuracy than even the higher end. Now, one of the things that I would say you have to watch out for when you read stuff like this. Now, I'm not necessarily knocking him, because I feel like a lot of people could do this, but he's saying it's like better than a D800, at least the LCD accuracy. And he might be right about that. Please leave in the comments. But see, when I read something like this, these are kind of comments that are sort of influencing people to buy the camera, which he makes his money when people buy the camera, right? He's already told you that. So you might want to take stuff like this with a grain of salt, because he's sort of pushing you over the fence in my eyes when he says stuff like that. So, you just keep that in mind. If somebody says it's better than a D800 in certain aspects, that's a little bit of a strange comment. He loves his older D7000, which I have used that camera too, and I love that camera. So these reviews obviously get updated. So he said at the top there was a new D7200, of course, and he goes into the lens compatibility. I don't want the blog to get so long and I read through this and decide if I'm, if he's correct on every single point. But, let's just continue scrolling down. He's telling you every single lens since 1986 made by, I believe, Nikon. Yeah, Nikon lenses. So he's giving you lens compatibility. That's good info, You might have some old lenses. You might be a photographer. You might have some 40-year-old lenses that somebody left you or something. And here it looks like he's giving you some, what did the camera update? And from what I have this camera, and it didn't update much from the D7000. It got more megapixels. Let's see, pretty much, yeah. See, and he's saying that right here. So with the addition of a stereo mic and headphone jack, okay. So he's giving you some nice info here, I feel. If you were going to buy this camera, this is good info, assuming he's correct on all of it. Missing compared to the D7000. So he gives you some reasons that maybe the D7000 is a little better. And from what I remember, I don't know if he says it here, but I remember reports saying that D7000 was a little bit better on dynamic range because the probably because it's hard to tease that stuff out, but probably because the pixels are bigger. So I don't see he says that there, but he might say it somewhere. Now he's talking about performance, and he shows pictures of his family. I think Katie's ready Easter bag. This is great because I really like this. I don't know if I would necessarily want to use pictures of my kids, but I'm not knocking him for that. It's just a decision he's made. But this is like one of the things that people will use this camera for, right? People reading his website will use his camera for pictures of their kids. So I think it's sort of cool that he does this and he shows you, and this is obviously looks like natural light with a little bit of probably on-camera flash or something, which that's cool. And let's see if he tells you. Yeah, he tells you it's a pop-up flash, and that's great. So, just getting a little fill light in there. He's showing people what the camera can do just right out of the box and probably flipping it into like automatic, everything auto. What mode was he in? It's probably auto mode, and so the flash just popped up, and he's telling people that. I think that's great because, like I said, a lot of people are going to come here for, they're going to be using this camera for this. So this is cool. This is cool stuff as far as I'm concerned. All right, and autofocus, to my amazement, so he's saying the D7100 focuses better than his D600. And that might be true, but again, this is the type of statement you got to kind of double check, and that's one of the, I think, the main comments I'll make in this. So you got to kind of double check this stuff because he's coming right out and telling you he makes his living off of these affiliated links. So, he's obviously biased toward wanting you to buy this camera. So you just got to keep that in mind. If you like, you ought to. Looks fantastic. So he's saying it looks great at 6400. So this is at 6400, and that does look good to me. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Let's check this out. And so he gives you these samples, which I think is good. If we look back there, yeah, it looks okay for that 6400. I'm sure this is the area where it would be nice to see the exact same photo from like a full frame camera, like from this exact spot. You don't get to do that in this, that's the only drawback to stuff like that. And it looks okay for the average person. It's going to look great at that ISO. All right, more family pictures and stuff, which I think is cool. And then he gives you this chart. This is great now. Because you might be, okay, let's say you want this camera, Oh, you come here and you say, oh, the D7000, maybe I could, it has the same frames per second, it has all this. Maybe I could go for the D7000, So yeah, I think that's a very cool chart right there. This is sort of, again, assuming this is all correct. And we're almost to the end here, so that's going faster than I thought. And he says his recommendation. So he says it's awesome, buy one, I did. So he's kind of using that whole salesman technique. You know, I own one. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think he does believe this camera is awesome because it is. So he's sort of, if you had to pick a side of the fence, he's swaying on, though. It's trying to get you to buy it, I'd say. Trying to get you to buy it because he knows you're interested in this camera when you come here, right? And so he's wanting to sort of sway you off the fence and to buy it. But he's also giving you good information because this is a good camera to buy. But I bet if you went to like a lot of his cameras, I feel like he sort of does this, you know, like he tells you, buy it, I did, you know, stuff like this. He says he only has the 35 millimeter, which is a great lens. I've tried that before. And then he goes into lenses maybe you should consider for it. So he wouldn't order with the 18 to 105. So that's cool. He's telling you don't order that. He likes that 35 millimeter, which I think is great advice to get the camera with that lens. It's a great lens to shoot like your family with and everybody with. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people might want this lens though, so I don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, if you want zoom, I would much prefer the smaller and lighter 18 to 55, which I've used that a lot, and I really love that lens too, that 18 to 55. You know, guys, all in all, that information to me looked great. I'm not really crazy about this down here. So this is the last thing he says. At least he puts this last. I support my growing family through this website. As crazy as it might seem, the biggest help is when you use these links. I feel like he'd make probably just as much, if not more money if you just took that out, but that's more talking to him than to you guys. So I think you should take this out, but whatever. I don't know. That's you guys can leave how you feel about that. If you find this page as helpful, you can bookmark it. Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I actually, just doing that just now, just sort of off the cuff and stuff, I thought it was pretty good, okay? So I'm going to just come out and say here, my final sort of conclusion is it's not a bad, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for like a professional photographer come here, but if you're out there listening to this, you're just getting into photography, I think this is a good stopping point to come to. You can see samples, which is great. Just that in and of itself is enough. You can see samples right there. He has all the information. You can zoom in. And, he does this stuff. It takes time, to go out and do this stuff. I take it this is specific for each camera. Shows you different styles of photography with a couple different lenses maybe. It looks like this is all with the 35 millimeter. And he shows you this, which is just sort of a detail and just so you can get an idea of the quality you're going to be expecting. So yeah, I would recommend it for people that are like looking into cameras and stuff, all right? So my final conclusion is the knocks on Rockwell are maybe unfounded. I feel like some of the knocks are probably being sourced from him giving conflicting information about like one camera versus another. And like he likes this one, but then in another blog he says, I like this one. But he's saying like that twice. You don't really get to do that, right? You don't get to say, this is the best camera ever. Camera X is the best camera ever. And then camera Y is the best camera ever. That's trying to say, I think that's probably why people knock his blogs. But, you got to expect that to a certain extent, all right? So I'm giving it my seal of approval. For pro photographers, I think there's some good YouTubers out there. But the thing is, you got to watch out for the same stuff with the YouTubers. They could be even a lot worse, in my opinion, the YouTubers. Like, even a lot worse than him. So they're just like making videos just to sell. Well, kind of like him, I'd say, yeah. Just making a video just to sell, the affiliated links, okay? All right, so yeah, I think it's good info. I hope there's people out there that enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.